Hello, dear friends. It's Carly, and welcome to another episode of the I Learned podcast. I am literally so excited to be here. You guys, I had to sing two warm-up songs just to halfway get myself to calm down. I don't think it worked. Um, yeah, I am feeling really good, really high flying. This is Saturday night when I'm recording this, and it's been an awesome day. I also haven't recorded in almost 2 weeks. Um, and that's because I started another podcast because, of course, like, what do I need but not another podcast? So, now I have two podcasts and I do plan on using them both. They have different, themes, I guess you could call it. The new podcast is called Astro Lessons, so that is super exciting. They are mini astrology lessons, so 5 to 15 minute episodes focused on one specific question or piece at a time. And that is one of the many things that I'm celebrating this week. And that's kind of what this episode is I one of the things that I have learned is that meeting goals is kind of an illusion. Like, hear me out. I know meeting goals, like we want to set goals, we want to meet our goals. Yay, everything is great. But have you ever been in that moment where you are like meeting your goal in the moment and you're already feeling like, okay, that's cool. So what's next? Like, my favorite example of this that happened to me when I got my PMP certification. It makes you want to say the word pimp. Obviously, it's a pimp certification. It stands for Project Management Professional, which is obviously a lot less sexy than that, and it's often like ginger IT specialists with like button up, like short sleeve shirts. And yeah, that's who's making that joke, which makes it, that's like the funny part, right? So, anyways, I got my project management professional certificate, and it's a huge deal. It's a very big deal. If you're trying to be a project manager, that is like the elite certification that you need to have credibility in the field. Um, and so I got it. And leading up to that, I had wanted it. I had been like putting it in my reviews to my boss and the company I was working for, like saying, I want to do this. This is something that is on my list of things I want to do. I think it would help me in my job. I think it would help the company. So please let me do this. And finally, they said yes. And they sent me to the training thing and they paid for me to take the test and on and on. Anyway, so like that was probably 2 to 3 years in the making of me wanting to do that. And then actually doing it was about, excuse me, it was a week of sitting in class. And then they recommend that you take a couple weeks and study and then take the test. So I basically did that and I passed it. And so, I mean, like, it was like an intensive, like, 3 weeks of like living and breathing this like gigantic binder of material and memorizing all the things and all of this just to be able to pass this test. And literally, I remember sitting there at the testing place, and it's like this, very blah, like little cubicle room where you go in there and sit and take a test. Super anticlimactic, right? Like I'm on the inside, like so full of anxiety and excitement, and then you walk in and everybody's just like, meh. So yeah, anyways, um, I take the test and I take my time and I mark my questions for review and I go back through and I review the things that I wasn't sure about and I really, like, really give it my 100% best effort. And so I get to the end of the test and it's a submit button. It's a I'm okay, I'm finished, like hand in your test button. And I sat there for a second and like really was like, wow, like am I really, oh gosh, am I gonna submit this? And I was like really like, wow, okay, that's huge. And so like I know that, it's an electronic test, so they don't have to like go away and calculate your results. You find out right now if you passed or failed. And so clicking that button is it's an immediate result of did all of that work pay off, or am I going to go back to the drawing board and have to study again and take the test again? And that, that's just not who I am, right? So like I was going to pass it the first time. That just was how it was going to happen and whatever. So pushing the submit button was like a big deal. And I remember like finally like gathering myself and like taking a deep breath and like press submit. And then it's a fucking 12 question, 12-page survey over my testing experience at this facility. And they want me to like now like endure these 12 questions. And I just want to say, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Did I pass the thing or not? Like, this is torture. And so I half-assed my way through that survey as fast as I could. And by that point, I was so kind of like, just kind of like rushing through the survey that I like rushed onto this page. And there it is in like this tiny little green font in the middle of this gigantic white screen. And it's like, congratulations, comma, you passed, period. And I'm sitting there in this testing facility and I'm looking at this, like I did it. And like, this is my finish line, this quiet little space and this like tiny little green text, not even with an exclamation point. And like, this is what I've been working towards. Like, I feel like that's what meeting a goal is. Like, you get there and it's like, okay, so now I'm standing here. So now what am I going to do? Like, what's next? That's always the question. What's next? That reminds me of a TED Talk that I really love by Sean Achor. And he talks, I think his TED Talk is called The Happy Secret to Better Work. And I recommend it to everybody. I've watched it a million times because it's amazing. And in that, he talks about the cognitive horizon. And basically that a lot of times we say, well, in that example, like I'll get my PMP and then I'll be happy. I'll get a promotion at work and then I'll be happy. I'll get married and then I'll be happy. I'll buy my house, but then I'll be happy. I'll lose the weight and then I'll be happy. And that's putting it over the cognitive horizon, because as soon as you get that thing, as soon as you get married or buy the house or get promoted or whatever, it's like, and now there's a new thing that you have to get to. Because, okay, yeah, now that you got the house, but now you need to landscape the yard. You need to install the pool. You need to, add the hot tub. You need to blah, 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 like over and over and over again. It's not, happiness is over the cognitive horizon. It's unattainable at that rate. And meeting goals is kind of like that. So what's the antidote? I can never remember anecdote and antidote. I always get them confused. Anecdote is the story. Antidote is the cure. Okay, so antidote. What's the antidote to this? Well, I personally am going to throw out there that it's celebrating the incremental progress that you see in your life, in your direction, in your path, and constantly and eternally celebrate the baby steps that you make day by day by day by day, because that's all there ever is. As far as I can tell. If I'm missing something, by all means, reach out and correct me, owningauthenticity@gmail.com. Please email me. I highly encourage you. I would love to hear your thoughts on these things. It's just like every time I meet a goal, it's like, okay, and now what? Like, I mean, the first time I became CEO of a company, it was the same thing. It was kind of the same thing. Like, I just remember sitting there thinking like, wow, I did that. I met that goal. Like, I'm the CEO of my own business and I have a board of directors that I oversee as their president. And I was just like, that was cool for like an hour. And then it was like every bit of it had worn off. And if ever there was a moment to remind us all that the joy is in the journey, not the destination, like that is what this is about. It's about having a joyful journey. So to have a joyful journey, we celebrate. We celebrate often. What are you celebrating? What is going well in your life? What are those baby steps that you're seeing that like, this is new territory. I've never been here before. I've never felt this way before. I've never thought these thoughts before. I've never had that reaction before. how are you catching yourself manifesting new territory just right in front of your eyes without even meaning to, you know? So this week I have seen so many signs of my new territory. And just for fun, I'm gonna just run through them because I I tend to be like, okay, so there's a Macklemore song called Excavate that has the lyric, I'm an open book, but sometimes I'm hard to read. I think I might have referenced this maybe on the other podcast. It all kind of runs together. I'm an open book, but I am hard to read. And there is a really secretive, private streak to me that it's so funny because I feel like I'm being totally transparent and like putting it all out there. And then I was talking to my friend the other day and she's like, no, but Carly, like, what are you actually doing? Like, what's the work that you're actually doing? These projects that you're doing, these proposals that you're doing, like, what is it? And so then I would talk some more and like think that I'm explaining like, you know, what it is. And she comes back and she's like, okay, but like, what is it that you're doing? Like, wow, okay, I'm really bad at explaining this. So I'm gonna practice. I'm gonna practice on you guys. I own a grocery store. I built a grocery store from the ground up a few years ago. And actually 4 years ago was when I started. And now where I am is understanding wholeheartedly. I already knew, but now I understand that opening a grocery store and running a grocery store are two very different skill sets. And my talent and my bag of tricks, the tools in my toolbox, are divinely suited for startup projects like building a grocery store or starting a business of any kind, really. But starting things, that's my jam. That's my natural talent. It flows through me. The beginnings of things, I have access to them. And opportunities and potential that no one else can see, I can see it and I can bring it into the physical. And then I hand it off to in Cecil K's case, my main man Jeff, and he's the store manager now. He's managing the store. He's keeping it chugging along as the well-oiled machine that I built it to be. And that is very much the partnership that I wanted, that I envisioned when I very first started working on Cecil K's was, you know, I'm not always going to be in this boat of being the main one that's responsible for all of this. Like, I'm going to build it and then I'm going to have this other person who is just perfect for the job. Obviously, at this point, there's nobody physically present. I'm talking about the vortex person that I can feel. I can feel that this person is perfect for the job, that they are going to fit in so well that it's going to be a natural relationship between me and that person, between that person and Chad, who's my business partner. Like, it's just going to be a harmonious situation and it's all going to work out. It's just going to unfold. I don't need to worry about figuring out who that person's going to be. That's not my job. I'll know him when I see him. It'll unfold the way that it's meant to. And this week I signed my first consulting contract as a grocery consultant to assist a store also in Kansas. They are opening next week. I've already been working with them for like a month on a different project that I got. But this is a completely separate contract to continue working with them for the next 14 weeks to support them through that process of, you know, hear how they've been on the home stretch of getting open. And now next week as they transition to being a fully open operational store and everything, the whole whirlwind that comes along with that. I get to support them through that process. And so what that looks like is I talk to her. I communicate with her several times a week to answer any questions that come up for her as she's trying to finish this home stretch of building the store. And we have scheduled meetings and then I make documentation afterwards. I put my knowledge and our processes from my store onto paper where she can take it and edit it however she needs to match what they're going to do, but it's at least, 80% of a starting point. And that's the leg up that I'm able to provide to her. To just be a member of her team for a short amount of time to teach her how to do it herself and how to feel confident in that role herself, which it's awesome because everything that I'm doing as a grocery consultant is also what I'm doing in the other one, another arm of my business is my spiritual coaching and life coaching, spiritual reflection, however you want to think about that. I join intentional partnership with someone for a short period of time to manifest a growth spurt along their path. To if they're ready for clarity, I'm ready to deliver it. We come together and it is magical. It's a magical result. I've seen it and I'm living it. Like this whole week has been amazing of getting to work with them. And yes, the new territory that I am standing on right now today, even like the new that has manifested this last 7 days, oh, it is, it's humbling and it's an honor and it's a privilege to get to look around and realize that like I've wished to be a grocery consultant to like help other people open their store. I've wished for that for, 4 years now. That was part of the original intention was to open my store, manage it for a year, and hand it off to somebody else and then move on to opening other stores. So I gave myself 2 years to focus on Cecil K's and I spent 3.5. So, it's fine. It's totally fine. And I am 100% loving and in love with what I built and Jeff's ability to run it for me in my absence. It's all coming together exactly how I knew it would 4 years ago. And it's an amazing moment to just get to stop and pat myself on the back, take a second and say, I've wished for these things and now I'm living them. There's I've used the analogy a lot this year to clarify to myself. Um, the way I put it is sometimes we plant the seeds and sometimes we harvest the fruit. And the goal is to be loving both of those pieces because, obviously you can't harvest fruit without planting seeds. So it's all necessary. Some of it might be a little bit more fun in the moment, on the surface level. Obviously, eating fruit, it's sweet, it's juicy, it's delicious, it's a whole sensory experience. It's wonderful. And planting the seed is work, and tending to the seed is work. Pulling the weeds around it is work, and making sure that it has water every day and focusing on it and making sure that it has what it needs. Like that's work. And that's what it is. Sometimes we plant the seeds and sometimes we harvest the fruit. And so I've been wrapping my mind around that all year. And then today, this is another thing I'm celebrating. Today, I was scrolling through Facebook for a second and came across a post from Sarah Robinson, Sara, and then Robinson, how it's normally spelled. She's a coach that I highly recommend you follow. She's doing wonderful things with her authenticity and her truth and her voice. And yeah, just incredible to watch her go along her path. And she made a post about basically leveling up, and I'm all about that anytime it's mentioned. And she mentioned that the up level group that she was leaning towards is called Alpha Femme. So ALPHAFEMME. I'll put a link in the description here, but Alpha Femme, and it's a high vibe community of women, boss babes supporting each other. And holy fucking shit, I joined that today. Oh God, it is a breath of fresh air for my soul. There were so many posts that were incredible manifestations to like read these people's stories. And then the comments that are just like so supportive and so much love being thrown at each other in this group. It seriously filled my heart and then some. And And then, so I saw when I joined the group that they had something about pineapples or something. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's like a spiritual reference that I've never heard of. I have no idea. Turns out it's a analogy, I guess, a metaphor, I don't know, whichever one, by Melanie, the chick who started the group, Alpha Femme. And apparently there's a riff of hers on YouTube where she talks about pineapple season. I haven't watched that. I did a quick Google though about how long does it take to grow a pineapple, because I kind of imagined context clues that that's what she was getting at. And it is. It's like a 3 to 4 year growing cycle. So there is a lot of work to produce a pineapple. Like you work and 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 work for a few years. And then here's a pineapple. So yeah, it's like that, pineapple season. And so they use that term in the group a lot. Pineapple season. Pineapple season is coming. Pineapple season is coming. And I just love that. I love the imagery. I love how pineapples smell. Like it's just, I love how they taste. It's a beautiful thing. Anyways, all the way around. Pineapple season is coming. It means that you're about to harvest your fruit. And if you're listening to this, I can guarantee you that you are about to harvest some fruit, because that's just the vibe that we're sitting in here. I'm sure you can feel it. So, yeah, it's a beautiful time to be present with what you're harvesting. Any little satisfactory moment to celebrate that, like the huge deal that it is, because there is only ever the incremental progress that we make, tying that all the way back around to the beginning. Oh, yeah. It's been a really, really cool couple weeks. And I'm just really grateful. I'm really grateful to get to watch it unfold day by day, hour by hour, moment by moment. Ooh, and I'll leave you with this if you like to Google things like I do. Another thing I saw in the group was this woman posting about her magical story, and she was giving the credit to healing the mother wound, air quotes around the mother wound. And from reading in the comments, I got some context clues about like it is the wound left on you by the relationship with your mother. That is the mother wound. Um, and so I Googled it, I read a couple articles, and realized that yes, there is a lot of healing that I have worked on surrounding my mother wound without even really realizing that that's what I was doing. So, anyways, I found that to be a really fun perspective addition or clarification, context to be able to understand what it was that I was doing. Because basically, what she was saying was like, if you can heal your mother wound, like, fuck, like, buckle your seatbelt and get ready for blessings, because it's a big energy block when we have that mother wound inside of us. It affects every single relationship we have. So that rabbit hole, highly, highly recommend. So, oh, you guys, this was amazing. I was seriously so excited to see you, air quotes. Thank you. Thank you for always letting me talk on here. That's the beauty of a podcast, you know? Like I get to talk and practice using my voice. And that's a beautiful practice for me to engage in anytime. So thank you for listening. And I'll see you on the next one.